Welcome into the best damn pod in the land. Dan, we've rolled over 30 episodes somehow, some ways, in some form, with you and I in our new format. So congratulations to us, I guess. How are you this morning?
I'm good, man. 30 episodes. That's a cool little milestone. It went by fast.
It does.
I am I'm exhausted. Emily gets back this afternoon. She's picking Mila up. I got a long day ahead of me, but I got a inadvertent compliment this morning. I sent a video of Mila to Emily, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, Avery does her hair better than me." And I'm like, "I did that this morning."
Well, there you go. Girl dad bonus points, man.
Just like some hairspray and a brush out. I guess I'm no ponytails from this guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you survived a couple more hours, man. I know my wife once a year goes away for like a ladies retreat from Friday to Sunday, and by the time she gets home I'm like, here.
Yeah.
And I just go sit in the quiet for 20 minutes, so I get it. So before we forget, get into our show, please like and subscribe. Subscriptions have been off the charts. You guys are doing great. We appreciate you guys. And again, I will say for those of you, and I really appreciate you guys wanting us to do more content. um I don't know how we do it in the current state of things. So, Dan and I've talked, and right now we have to keep it at Tuesday and Friday. I think when the season comes, we might be able to do like a post game or something. Dan and I've kicked around and maybe rotating, like maybe one of us will do it one week and one of us do it the other week or something. But we haven't really talked through it. But I just want you guys to know, like, we hear you. We know you want your football content. We know you want us to do more. And I love the fact that you want us to do more. That tells me, Dan, that like people are listening, and we get compliments about our camaraderie and the way we work together, and so I appreciate everybody very very much. And I wish we could do more right now, and in the stage of life that we're in. And so Dan has a toddler, I have a 6-year old and a 4-year old, and three different baseball teams. So tough to do much more than we're doing right now.
Yeah, we're not yet into the crazy smorgasbord of sports seasons yet. My oldest, she's finishing up her freshman year and she made the cheerleading squad for next year, so we'll have some obligations for that over the summer and going into next season. But yeah, three baseball seasons going on right now. That's insane, man.
Yeah, and my son, um, just because of the age he's at, he's a little bit of an older 6-year old. He was born in December, so he has been invited to play up to the 8U team. So he's playing. It's a lot for us, so to try to manage. So, and then my son and daughter are playing on the same team for their 6U team. So anyways, so Dan, I did a crazy deep dive one night. I couldn't sleep, and my back was bothering me, and so I started thinking to myself, what recruits are coming and when. And so I don't want to discount the early part of May because Bill Kerlick on Bucknuts mentioned there's a few good ones coming in this weekend. I think Faison Brandon's coming this month. 2026 number one quarterback for 2026. But what I wanted to do, and for me, I'm really focused on the rest of 2025 because we have a really good class started, and so I kind of broke it down by the weeks. And kind of wanted to do a look ahead. And you and I chatted about, and we always have our guys, like our guys that we like. We're like guys that we really want in this class, things that look fun, like. So I thought we'd have a little fun with it. So I started at the end of May because I wanted to lead up to that big, those two big weekends in June. I think it's the 14th and the 21st. There's a couple big weekends with some big players coming in, not only physically big, but like recruiting big. So the 31st, and this is a guy that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. I'll go through a quick list, but the 31st is not a small weekend. You have Dalen McCutcheon, Javion Campbell, Jeff Overton, which he's another one that gets overlooked. Taz Williams, TJ Alford's just coming up for a visit. Vernell Brown, at least right now. Originally, Elijah Barnes was coming, the linebacker from Texas, but he committed to Texas, and I couldn't get a clear answer whether or not he was going to be here. Justin Hill and Bo Jackson. So that's not, we were talking about the June visit. Man, this end of May visit looks huge. Anybody, what piques your interest about that?
Well, the thing that jumps off the page to me is you got a lot of guys that are rumored to be leaning elsewhere with, I guess, one of our recruits so far. Alford's the only one that's committed.
Yeah.
So, you got some Florida guys in there that are apparently leaning towards some Florida teams. Vernell Brown. I don't know. Is there a reason to be worried about Alford being around all those guys that aren't 100% sold on Ohio State?
Well, can I just add in that, so let's use the David Sanders example. When everybody discounted Ohio State with David Sanders, and then he got on campus and he found out what it was all about. And so the only one of these people that I remember actually being on campus so far was TJ Alford. I think Bo Jackson was here for an unofficial, but looking at this list, so like Dalen McCutcheon, I was trying to think of a good example for him, but he's not a huge guy. He's 6 foot, 175, Texas kid. He had 19 touchdowns as a junior, and he set some records in track too. So he's not slow. But I was trying to think maybe Percy Harvin. Think Percy Harvin, smaller wide receiver, quick. But I'm not.
Percy Harvin's that's a pretty strong comparison.
Yeah, I like
just nonchalantly think Percy Harvin.
Yeah.
Moving on, and it's like, whoa, hold on a second, back up.
Yeah.
That Percy Harvin?
Yeah. I know. So look at the two that I read at the bottom are two that I think we have to get. Justin Hill, Bo Jackson. And I put this out on purpose on Twitter, and I'll get your opinion too. So Wiltfong, of course, doing his Wiltfong thing, says he thinks, I think he said Georgia is leaning for Bo Jackson, which is a load of horse shit. Sorry, guys. So? I do. I 100% think so. He took this huge package to go move from 247 Sports to On3. Like, if what's being said is true, like it's an insane amount of money. And so he has to drive up the clicks. And I do not in any way, shape, or form think Georgia is leading for Bo Jackson. I mean, they might be up there with Ohio State. I wouldn't blame him if they were. We've talked about Ohio State and Georgia being on par with one another. But come on, man.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Are you suggesting that Wiltfong is going to start posting about baby Gronk commitments?
He might, yeah, baby Gronk commitments. So I still don't know what's going on with all of that. I don't even know who he is.
Oh my God, it's Todd Marinovich 2.0. He's got an overbearing father that created, he. I don't mean to go off on a tangent here, but it seems to be the flavor of the moment where. The kid went viral a couple years ago. I admittedly have followed him on Instagram because I used to think it was entertaining and it was fun, but now it's just getting a little bit out of hand. And he showed up on a lesser known Ohio State podcast the other day, and those podcasters just got absolutely thrashed on Twitter for even entertaining the guy. And then today, give the dad credit. He knows what he's doing. He's trying for clicks. He saw the reaction that he got from Ohio State people the other day and how disgusted they were. And so he went and posted that the kid committed to Ohio State today on Twitter. It's all about engagement. So he's working that algorithm. More power to him. But his dad's a piece of trash, and I feel bad for the kid.
And so he didn't have a committable offer, right? Like this is a bunch of crap, right? Okay.
He's committed to more schools than Dylan Raiola has.
Okay.
So it's all for clicks. No, the kid's, I don't know. I don't even know if he's in junior high yet.
All right.
The only kudos I can actually give to the whole situation is he's actually got Livy Dunn's number in his phone. So good for him.
I don't even know who that is. So
Sorry to go off on the tangent, but it was quasi recruiting related, right? Sort of. Not really.
yeah, I feel like I live in a bubble because I don't have cable TV, and I like my Twitter feed is literally all Ohio State. And if like one of my friends doesn't talk about it, and I live in the middle of nowhere, like I don't know any of this. Like this is a true story, and I joke about this, but I, honest to goodness, until Travis Kelsey started dating Taylor Swift, didn't even know Taylor Swift was still popular or making music. So I thought she like rode off into the sunset with Faith Hill or something. I don't know, but I literally did not know that she was still popular, that girls still listen to her music. Had no clue. I felt like I hadn't heard from her in like since 2012 or something, and all of a sudden, she's all over, and I'm like, what is going on? Travis Kelsey brought her back from the dead, and they're like, no, she's still cool. So, anyways, I live in a bubble.
Yeah, some people would argue that she made Travis Kelsey popular.
Yeah,
Along
well,
with the
whatever.
Swifties, right?
Yeah.
No,
So,
listen, I live in a house full of estrogen, so I can
yeah.
tell you she's alive and well.
Okay. So, Bo Jackson for me in this class has been my guy. I know that there was always a lot of back and forth for Ohio about he and Marquise Davis, and I know Juck was a big Marquise Davis guy, and I'm a big Bo Jackson guy. Jordan Davidson is the guy that I've been pointing to for 2 years that I wanted. I'm glad they're getting him on the field. His body, he looks like a college junior. Like he's another James Peoples. He looks like he could come in and play right now.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm going to let you talk about Justin Hill, man, because I know like you are on the Justin Hill train. This is your guy. TJ Alford was my guy. So, how important is it for them to make a huge impression this weekend or the 31st? Excuse me.
I mean, is so are these all officials? Are these their official visits that are on this list?
I couldn't tell that. That's the only thing is like I
Because
was
the 21st
reading.
of June is going to be. I think a lot of these guys that you have coming are going to be coming back because that's a huge OV weekend for us.
Yeah, so I'll read you who's coming the 21st. It's David Sanders, Devin Sanchez, Dorian Brew, Naeem Offord, Talon Taylor, Malik Autry, Zion Grady, and that's just the list that I could find that was published from Ohio State right now.
Yeah,
So there's probably more coming, but that's the list I could find.
I think there's a lot more. But going back to Justin Hill, yeah, man, and I I kind of called my shot the other day saying that I think him announcing that he's going to make a commitment on July 3rd favors us. Based on him saying what he did about the jack position and that he's going to be paying attention as to how the jack position is used. I just don't see him, committing to, let's say, Oregon on July 3rd and then keeping an eye on the jack position and flipping his commitment to us.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more likely for him to commit to us and flip elsewhere if he doesn't like what he sees. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I feel really good about him committing to us on July 3rd, and then we're gonna have to we're gonna have to hang on to him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I agree with you 100% on that. And the one thing that I noticed about this particular weekend, the 31st, there's no linemen, no offensive linemen.
Yeah.
There is an edge. Javion Campbell's coming in from Kentucky. He has offers from it's all Southern schools and us. It's Kentucky, Bama, Georgia, Ohio State. The interesting thing about him is like if you go to look for his tape, he's only played since he was a junior. He's only played 1 year of football. Javion Campbell. He's rated as a 4-star. He's 6'5", 265. Out of Frankfort, Kentucky. He had 14 and a half sacks in his first season playing as a junior. And I think he's probably going to be one of those late bloomers. He's probably going to be a fast riser as a senior too. But quick first step. He's got a little wiggle to him. Needs to bulk up as far as like strength goes, but a lot of interest for somebody that's only played a year of football.
Yeah, it kind of reminds us of, I think we got a guy like that on our team now named Harold Canoe, right?
Yeah,
Um, didn't start playing until later in high school over in Germany.
yeah,
Um, and I mean, you can't take all guys. Only so many people can start every year, right?
yep.
So people want us to recruit people that are going to start in year one in an entire class, and that's just not realistic. So, sounds like a good developmental project. I like it. The lack of offensive linemen is, it's certainly interesting here early on. If you pay attention to what's going on online, though, I mean, that's really starting to pick up, and we're starting to see some offers for the 26 class roll out, which seems to be, getting more aggressive. And then there was a report going around this morning. I think it may have came from Bucknuts. I could be wrong, but that there's been some local uh, boosters, for lack of a better term, guys that have stepped up recently and told us, like, listen, be aggressive, and it's specifically for the O line and the D line. So there's been a commitment made to going after those guys, and I think we're going to start, maybe starting to see some dominoes fall, and I think those classes are going to be a little bit better than we thought, especially on the O-line side of things. I'm 100% convinced at this point that we've got, not only are we going to get David Sanders, I think he's a silent commit at this point.
Mm.
Um, that's just what I think.
Okay. Well, so my question was more like I know who we're in on offensive tackles. But the interior offensive linemen, so Donovan Jackson's graduating next year, so you have Luke Montgomery, and then Deontay Armstrong was part of the Armstrong twin package, so he's going to be on the interior. He's not going to play tackle. So and then you'd have I was trying to think who else you would have. Carson Hinsman would be back for maybe one more. Seth McLaughlin would graduate. So maybe Luke Montgomery is sliding into center. I'm just trying to think of who we have, behind this current group as far as interior guys. I know we're Carter Lowe's in the class already, so maybe I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there,
I
man.
mean, I want to say we got 17 guys on the
Yeah.
roster right now that are on the line. I mean, you've got Tegra still.
Oh, I forgot all about Austin Saraveld.
Yeah,
Sorry, Austin.
is too deep right now.
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick is still lurking around. I mean,
Fitz magic.
Hinsman's not going anywhere. I mean, he's a redshirt sophomore going into
Yeah.
this year. This is his third season on the team. I mean, I feel really good about having him for at least 2 more years, counting this year, if not 3.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we're going to start I just think we're going to start to see some normalcy set in to how long guys are sticking around. Especially on the offensive line. Again, I bang the drum. It's a developmental position, and
Yep.
it takes a minute for kids to grow into their bodies and get strong enough to play that position at a school like Ohio State.
All right. So we're going to move on to the weekend of June 7th. It's a little bit of a smaller weekend, kind of a funky weekend. It's a couple weeks after Memorial Day. Everybody's, so you're having you have graduation parties a lot that weekend, at least up here. They're like I have 12 graduation things like that I've been sent, and it's all seemingly that weekend, which you know how that goes. And so that weekend, Damian Shanklin, Trajan Oden, Nate Roberts, and Fahim Delane. So while, for what I could tell, a smaller weekend, a lot of star power there. And the guy that I absolutely have to have in this defensive line class is coming that weekend. And I might even drive down and just to Columbus and sit in a lawn chair and try to, get him to sign his letter of intent for Ryan Day. Like a pretend one. Let's put one on Ohio State letterhead.
Let's not ruin
Damian Shanklin's who I'm talking about. Guys, sorry.
Everybody that listens to us knows who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's not ruin our press credentials before we have them.
So, yeah. Okay.
Let's just admire from afar. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting group. You've got Roberts who's already committed. I think Fahim is somebody that I think's been crystal balled to us at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like a grown man.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, we are recruiting some height and length in the secondary, which I love.
It's needed.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. And then the other thing too is who else is going to be showing up during these? Like,
Popping in. Yeah.
If, Tavian St. Clair is not here every single weekend trying to recruit these guys, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how involved Carter Lowe's been. I think he's a little bit more low key. I know
he's also quite a bit further away than Bellefontaine. So
yeah, but I know that he's active in that commit chat and things like that and behind the scenes. But as far as showing up, I haven't heard a lot about him being here. I'm not worried about it, but
yeah. So, well, the one that is intriguing for me, I want to read you this list. So the schools that has offers for, this guy has offers for, is Trajan Odom. He's a 3-star out of Matthews, North Carolina. Most likely projects to be an interior player. He's 6'5", 275. So I think he's probably a 3 tech. At the end of it, he has Ohio State, Oregon, UCLA, and USC as his top 4, and he's from North Carolina. So everything's a West Coast team except for Ohio State. So I don't know what to make of that unless he just wants to go out west. West, young man.
Are there family connections out there? Did he grow up out west?
I don't know. I didn't look that far into it, man. I didn't do a deep dive. I'm not Bill Kurelic. I was just looking at who was coming in for the weekend, and I just thought it was worth mentioning that it was an really interesting top 4.
No, it really is. Especially considering where he lives, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he literally can't pick schools that are farther away unless he goes over to Hawaii.
Yeah. Ooh, Hawaii. Mukalaki Hiki.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to read up on that a little bit more and figure out. And those are official. Those are his top 4.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, so according to 247, man, and I know that doesn't get updated all the time, but I try. Like I went through 247 on 3, which I hate. How I feel about on 3, and just tried to like make a comparison and see how like closely aligned they were, and that seemed to be right on. Now some of the kids have like 8, or 12, so I just kind of grabbed the first 4 that said warm or hot, whatever. But yeah, so that's the weekend of the 14th. So we do have a couple more weekends. I think Dan and I are going to try to rock through those on Tuesday. The 14th is a big weekend, and I'll give you a little teaser. Micah DeBose is supposed to come in on June 14th. So we'll break down some of that. Like, that's a pretty big weekend too. Like, that's not a small list of guys.
I thought he committed somewhere already.
He's crystal balled to LSU.
He committed to Alabama and then decommitted, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay. But he's got Ohio connections, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't he?
I think so. Yes. I thought, was it Bama or Georgia?
Who he was committed to?
Yeah.
It might have been Georgia.
It was Georgia. Yeah, committed to Georgia. Yeah. But then decommitted. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, if we're truly being aggressive financially with our offensive line now, we could see a lot of things changing. But here's the deal. I was thinking about this about an hour or so ago. It is incredible, and I couldn't think of anybody. It is incredibly rare to pull an offensive lineman out of the South to come up north. There's a ton of examples on the defensive line, but for whatever reason, and I don't know, Kirk over on Buckeye Scoop, I love when he talks about the offensive line and stuff like that because he was one, right?
Yep.
I don't agree with
He was a pretty good offensive lineman too. So
I mean, he's got a tree in Buckeye Grove.
Yeah, he's not no slouch.
He's not allowed in the Woody, but he's got a tree at Buckeye Grove. But I really enjoy listening to him talk about when he gives perspective of offensive linemen and stuff. And he's said a handful of times now that offensive linemen are kind of mama boys. They don't want to be far away from home. It's just, and I can't disagree with it when you look at the stats. That's why it's always been mainly a regional position for us. So it's certainly interesting now with Saban gone and the nil war chest overflowing to see if we can maybe change that. But and I don't consider Charlotte. I just don't. I don't consider that the deep south.
No, it's more north than it is. I mean, if you go to Charlotte, it's more of an
it's mid Atlantic
to me. Yeah.
But I'm talking the Georgia, Alabama, Florida. It's hard to Texas. It's hard to get those guys to come up into the Midwest for the offensive linemen for whatever reason. Hopefully we can change that.
I always joke with my friends. So if you don't but I have a in my career I'm working a lot in the Dallas Fort Worth area on some projects, and I always say that Ohio is the Texas of the North. So there are so many similarities besides the heat and the snakes. It's uncanny with the way that just people's thoughts and the way things are done because we're in the Midwest. So anyways, random tangent, but yeah, I agree with you. I'm pretty sure I blame Michael Orr for that, being a mama's boy. So, and Leanne Tui, it's all her fault. Random tangent. When you said mama's boy, that was the first thing I thought of was The Blind Side. Like I literally derailed into that. I was like, oh man, here we go. Here, come back, brain, come back. Yep. All right. So if you guys are still with us, we appreciate you. We are we'll do the 14th and the 21st on Tuesday, and then, unless anything else breaks or pops up. If you're on Twitter, don't follow Baby Gronk.
You know what? He followed me, and I've not followed back. I won't do that.
Yeah, stay strong, brother. Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, that's gonna do it for us today. It's been quiet in the Buckeye world. I do think, I have one thing that I believe. I think Jordan Davison probably commits in the next couple of weeks to Ohio State. Just the way that things are trending and the way things are looking, and the Buckeye nut from Chris Henry. So things are looking good, Dan. I like the way this class is shaping up. And I'm going to ask you this question, and we're going to end this for our viewers. If you had your choice between Micah DeBose and David Sanders, who would you choose?
David Sanders.
Okay. And I'm going to do one more.
Okay.
Micah DeBose or Carter Lowe?
Dude, don't make me do that.
Okay, we won't do that one. But I would pick Carter Lowe because he's an Ohio guy. So I'm.
That's why I said don't do that.
Yeah.
All right. I love Micah DeBose's mean streak, man.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay. Well, anyways, I want him to pull one of them to pair with Carter Lowe, and so there we are. Thank you for listening, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're still with us. And I do, and Dan, I hope you're okay with this. I want to give 2 shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Juck on Bucks. He's a friend of ours, not to first, but he's doing a great job on his pod. And he came on our pod, and I appreciate that. And then Terry from College Football Stop coming on last week and doing the pod mashup with us. Just appreciate that, because you and I are aware that some of the more popular pods that in Buckeye Nation, they don't do that, and they don't. I mean, they're friendly, but they don't do that kind of stuff, and it's a real bummer because there would be, I think there was be some really great shows that would come out of that. So shout out to those 2 podcasts. If you're not following them, give them a like and a subscription on the YouTube.
Absolutely, good guys, man. They've been good supporter of our good supporters of us from the beginning, and I really enjoy chatting with those guys. I do have one public service announcement, and it's just a prelude to a much longer episode. Connor Stalions as a lone wolf is the conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that he was not acting alone. I get it. Yeah. Well, I've told you for a long time, and I have to go find him. But I literally have an entire show dedicated to whenever we find out everything that we find out for that. So, and there'll probably be stuff that we have to add in, but I feel like a lot of it's already known. Other than I don't feel like we really know what was going on with Weiss, but it'll all come out in the wash, as they say. So, you guys have a good weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy yourselves. If you're in and around Columbus, don't go with letterhead and try to get a letter of intent, fake letter of intent signed. I was kidding. I would not really do that. Maybe. But Dan, any last words?
No, man, I'm good. Another good week. 1 week closer. I think we're down to 14 Saturdays.
Yep, 14 Saturdays.
Yeah.
Countdown's on.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe out there, and as always, go Bucks.
Go Bucks.